I want to think about whether consciousness can exist outside of the biological body.
Yeah. The yeah, it's like consciousness is like a really tough question because
Yeah.
the only way you know something is conscious is if they tell you. You know, it's that whole I think therefore I am thing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, how do you know? Yeah, yeah. So it's like if a robot is telling you it's conscious, like the like gut reaction most people have is to immediately question that and just say that it's just programmed to say that, because you can literally program it. You can literally make a dumb robot. There's nothing in it, and you can make it react to the question, are you conscious? You can program it to answer that question with a yes, hard coded yes, I am conscious. You know, wow.
Yeah.
You know, that you can do that. You can't do that with a human, at least not in that way. So
No,
that's
but
why,
can we
yeah.
record your ego into the game
Oh, you mean
in an online RPG? No,
like in
another question. This is another question. Yeah.
like in Ghost in the Shell, you have like the brain dubbing. Ghost in the Shell, the manga, they didn't cover it in
What
the
what does that mean? What is
yeah,
that?
they didn't cover it in the movie, but they did. I think they may have covered it. They did cover it in part in the second movie, but I'm not sure if they covered it in the show. I don't remember if there's. But brain dubbing is when they scan a brain and make a copy of it digitally in a cybernetic brain. So you have like a person that's the source. They get this whole thing, and then they just scan it, and then they just put their consciousness inside a cybernetic brain, and they of course change things, of course, that kind of stuff. They remove things, but yeah, that just makes a copy of a brain and puts it into another place. You know, if the copy is complex enough or one to one, I would say yeah, the copy is sentient, is conscious. I would say, because if it's a one-to-one copy, I would say that the copy is conscious. Because if you say the copy is not conscious, the original is not conscious either. Because if it's a one-to-one copy, you know.
I mean, I did see a video recently that someone implemented their friend, the deceased friend, into an AI, so that if they talk to the AI, it feels like they are talking to their dead friend.
Yeah. That stuff's been done a bunch of times, indeed. Yeah, that's funny. But what you do there is you just all the chats you've had with that person, you feed it to the software, and they just the software creates a persona based on the chats, and it would respond based on it would respond similarly to how the person speaks and all that stuff. So those have been around for a few years now. There are several services that offer this. You could just literally hand over your entire chat history with people and make copies of them. But I wouldn't call that sentience or conscious.
No,
it just mimics. It's like a risen corpse. You know, it's like you're just being mimicking people. You know, that kind of stuff. It's kind of crazy.
But that is still the beginning. This is still the beginning. Like in let's say 50 years, 100 years.
Yeah.
With technology evolving.
Yeah.
Would it then be possible?
It probably will. At one point, it's going to happen. I mean, it's not even like a question of how or it's a question of when. Because technology is moving in a certain way, and people are. I noticed that in the last 50 years of technology has been a what do you call it? Kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing, where the people who grew up with science fiction want to create the world of science fiction they were reading about as a kid. That started like around the 80s was the first time you saw people say that out loud. You know, like Steve Jobs was one of the big ones that started saying that. They were talking about how the world of Star Trek, they saw that stuff. I mean, the Apple tablet was literally inspired by Star Trek. There's a trailer from the 80s where they made a mock-up of a tablet, and they kind of promoted the future or something. It was a really crazy trailer. They were like promoting the future or something, blah blah blah. They were using a tablet to do it, but it was a complete mock-up. It wasn't real. In 2001, The Space Odyssey, the movie from 1969, one of the characters, when they wake up in the morning, they wake up, they get a cup of coffee, and then they sit down and watch the news on their tablet. And so they have like the news video of the news on their tablet on the table, and they're just like coffee and like a little bread. And I was like, wow, this is like literally 2025, but this shit is like 70 years old. Wow. It's like, so that's what I'm saying, like since like around the 70s 80s, these engineers have grown up with these ideas already, and there's like this self-fulfilling prophecy thing going on, that they're like inspired by the tech future that they grew up with, and they keep doing like now the whole thing with all these AI girlfriends popping up. I mean, you probably saw X, Elon Musk's X came out with a new AI companion. You saw Annie from Grok. So it's like, yeah, I mean, of course he's gonna make that because this is a guy who was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s and 90s. Of course, because the 80s and 90s, there was a bunch. I mean, I literally found the intro to Video Girl Ai, an anime from 1991. It starts literally with like it's like one of these modern AI girlfriend things. Is literally the same. It's like, hi, I'm I. You're not feeling well. Well, I'm here to make you blah, blah, blah. It's like, it was like almost 2 minutes of her intro, and it was like eerily similar to how these softwares behave. So it's like, so what I'm getting at is that there's like this whole thing where these engineers are being inspired by the sci-fi they see, and they're trying to make it, and it just keeps repeating. So that's why I said it's not a question of how or whatever, it's a question of when will we get a conscious like non-human consciousness created by humans. When I'm thinking before the end of the century. Yeah, most likely.
And also, like, what function will it have?
No function. It's just gonna be there. It's gonna be hanging around, and just whatever. It's just gonna be there. It's gonna do whatever people ask it to, and whatever it wants. It's just, I mean, what function does a human have? Like, what humans are just sitting around, just hanging out.
How is it described in the Ghost in the Shell media?
What, the brain?
What do they do with it?
There's no consciousness in Ghost in the Shell media. They don't. They have like advanced AIs that mimic human behavior. They just use them as like service droids or whatever. Military droids, that kind of stuff. It's like it's your basic. It's like basic. Low intelligence work, whatever. There's no like advanced AI. There's only at the end of the what do you call it? At the end of the movie, the first movie, there is the emergent AI shows up. But that's the only one in the world. There's no other ones, that kind of stuff. So it's like it goes to the shell. They have brain dubbing because a lot of developers in that world want to take shortcuts, and instead of developing their own AI models to mimic human behavior, they take a shortcut by brain dubbing. But brain dubbing is illegal in Japan, so there are a few storylines about catching illegal brain dubbing rings, or there was like this one story about a robotics manufacturer that was caught with brain dubbing, and they were importing their stuff in Japan and that kind of stuff, blah blah blah. But brain dubbing is illegal. But it's a shortcut to creating robots that are more human-like, without having to do all the work. But the problem is that you put the consciousness of a person in there, so now the person is trapped inside this robot, according to them, of course, because For as far as they know, they are the original. You know what I mean? Their consciousness is just copied into this other, but they're the actual person is still alive somewhere in some factory, you know, being scanned all day, you know, and their shit put into the robots, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's Ghost in the Shell is it deals with this issue in a certain way, but there are limitations to the technology in the universe. It's not as advanced as some other universes where we have like completely sentient robots, like in Blade Runner, where these robots are completely sentient, where they can even make poetry. It's like, wow, you know, it's amazing. They can like do all this stuff, you know, in Blade Runner. They can even like lament that their existence is coming to an end, that kind of stuff. It's like you can only really do that if you're like conscious, if you're aware of what's going on, you know, if you're like looking back and you're like thinking, oh yeah, this and that, and oh yeah, if it's ending, oh no, what's gonna happen, blah blah blah. As far as I'm concerned, that's like one of the biggest measures of being conscious, because if you're not conscious about whatever you're doing, if it's lights out, it's like, oh, you're gonna turn me off. Okay, whatever, it's over. You don't care. It's like whatever, you know. That's probably so. The Blade Runner robots are really insanely conscious, you know.
But okay, to the point that getting neural implants is getting more and more normal.
Yeah.
I mean, neural implants, they do exist. Like,
oh yeah, we have some.
Other than the Neuralink from Elon Musk, I mean, I'm talking about an article I recently saw that they implemented implants into the brains of blind people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they can see again.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens. There's also like epilepsy implants. There are some hearing aids that also have to be implanted into the brain. There are several implants, brain implants, medical brain implants already that are used often, you know. But we're not talking about those kind of things. We're talking about like actual like brain augmentation kind of thing. Look, the problem with like the consciousness problem is that consciousness is not a like a floaty thing. It's an actual physical thing inside your body, you know. It's in your brain. It's not in your leg. It's not in your arm. It's in your brain. So that means it's a physical hardware that produces it. Okay. So that puts you that already has some limitations if we're talking about consciousness outside of the body, because the only way to have it outside of the body is you need a brain. And if you copy it, you're just making a copy. There's a lot of these weird movies where like people put themselves inside the computer or whatever, blah blah blah. You know, you're just copying yourself into the. It's not you. You know, you're just copying yourself. Your brain is not in there. So, these kind of questions of like, how we're gonna do it? We're gonna have to need a very advanced, either a very advanced software, or more likely advanced hardware in combination with software to mimic the human brain. You know, that kind of stuff is gonna take a long time to develop. We're gonna get close, but it's not gonna be, you know, so close that people won't be able to like do dumb things with it. Like you know how you can manipulate NPCs in video games, because there is just as soon as you figure out the pattern, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I can make it do that. If I do this and this, it does that. Okay, cool. And you know, can you imagine in real life, you have like this 80% conscious or 80% human intelligence, whatever, somewhere on like a guard or something, and then people figure out that if you like wave your arms and move your legs, it suddenly reacts in a certain way, and then they could exploit that to do something. That's gonna be insane. You know, that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff is gonna happen. You know. And they're gonna be exploiting these NPCs, basically NPCs, all over the place, because they're gonna figure out these weird ass patterns that they do, because they're like programmed, and they're like, you know, their reactions are weird, you know. So that's the problem with like the whole consciousness thing. It's like, when is it conscious? How far you, because you can't really trigger a human in that way. You're gonna have to do some weird stuff to do that, you know.